Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
They say you're not truly a champion until you defend your belt. Well, folks, I think we have a new, legitimate, undisputed champion in Leon Rocky Edwards, the king of the welterweight division, a stacked welterweight division. And this also brings in the end of the Kamaru Usman era, the Nigerian nightmare era. Honestly, the three African kings, man, they all have been vanquished from championship, holding, I guess, if you want to call it. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time to be an MMA fan, crazy time to be a UFC fan. And breaking it down with me, as always, is my co-host, the Santa Fe bomber himself, the New Mexico native brother. I mean, hey, man, we're in real time witnessing kind of like a new fold in the mix in the UFC, brother. What are you making of this?
Man, it's been a long time coming, Derick, and finally it feels like Leon Rocky Edwards has solidified himself as a true champion. You're right, you're not a champion until you defend it. Forget who actually said it, if it was GSP or it was back in the day. But either way, man, regardless, this is a crazy time. Adesanya out, Ngannou out. I mean, this is a Kamaru going. This is an interesting thing to see how the game of MMA really develops and keeps growing and going, man. It's a good time, interesting fight weekend, man. I'm excited to break the rest down with you. How you living, brother?
I'm living good, man. Like we were saying, pre-show, I'm just a little shocked right here just because it's like Kamaru Usman was that staple since Tyron Woodley. He was the guy holding it down. So now when you're looking throughout the UFC and you're saying, okay, who are these like dominant champions? Shevchenko, no longer champion. Usman, no longer champion. Ngannou, he didn't really have a long reign, but Johnny Bones Jones, he's back in the mix, right? So we got a little continuity right there, but otherwise, light heavyweight, new champion. We just said welterweight. Come on, brother. Islam Makhachev, is he going to be the next guy? Probably. I mean, if you had to put your bets on it throughout all of them, we got Volkanovski. How could we forget about Alexander the Great? So Volkanovski, Makhachev, aside from that, honestly, bro, is there anybody?
That's about it, man. I mean, and even on you have Amanda Nunes on the women's side at 35, but
that's
how often is she really fighting? It's kind of forget about it a little bit.
Yeah, that's not a real division, bro. You know what I mean? Come on. I'm just joking. It is, of course, but when, you know what I mean, you're double champion and then you're fighting 145, and that's definitely not a real division. Anyways, man, folks, London, they delivered. We finally got back into the O2 Arena. It's been quite some time since the UFC held an event there, and I thought that this was fireworks for the most part, right? But, we can kind of all come into consensus to say that this was slightly lackluster in terms of an overall card, especially when you take into consideration the couple cards that we just had, last couple of weeks and whatnot. So, AJ, man, I feel like we should not mince any more words. Let's just get into it, bro. Folks, as you can see at the bottom, I don't know how this is happening, man, but this is unprecedented, man. This is like 3-4 weeks in a row or whatever, 0-0. Different picks, same result. All right, brother, prop bets. This is what it came, or not prop bets, money line, excuse me. This is what it came down to. Just a quick recap. I hit on the Gunnar Nelson, you hit on the Justin Gaethje, and in terms of our consensus picks, we really only hit on Marvin Vettori. Big miss on Jennifer Maia over Casey Neal. And really quickly, AJ, because we're going to break it down, I said it, right? Trap game. This is one where you shouldn't be too shocked if Jennifer Maia wins. Hype, narrative, fighters coming off of injury. We need to take some of this stuff more into account, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. Overall, just take a quick peek at this, AJ. If you had to do revisionist history, are you still happy with your picks? Are there any of these picks that you'd say, you know what, I really want that one back?
The big one, man, Bam Barberena. The takedowns of Gunnar Nelson, and once he has the grip on you, it's hard to get away. Yeah. That one right there. I had a lot of faith in Bam going in there, but it's hard to beat the Gunny at his own game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why I was thinking, I was like, y'all are just disrespecting Gunnar Nelson over here. And for me, it's got to be the Casey O'Neill pick. In my gut, I was like, Jennifer Maia, man, that's an experienced fighter. But let's take a look over here at the prop bets. Another rough night, man. Another rough night. And it's like we're close, but we're not there. Justin Gaethje TKO, brother. How do you not pick that? You know what I mean? Who would have thought that goes to decision? Either way, Marvin Vettori decision. Come on, locked in. You already know. -135, no real value there, but Without any further ado, folks, subscribe to the Bloody Water Podcast. We're over 520 subscribers now, man. We've been getting a lot of love from you guys recently in the comments and stuff like that. AJ, real quick, before we move on, because you are the one who put me on to some of the new comments that we were getting, man. Show some love, man. We got to reciprocate a little bit. How are we feeling about this?
Yeah, man. Now it kind of blew my mind, honestly, Derek, man. I was just chilling back at the home, doing my thing. Decided to jump on YouTube, edit some photos and stuff. And I see the comment section blowing up, man. A lot of love from the people that are just finding us on random, on their feed, not actual subscribers, not people we know in real life. So it's to you guys, the ones out there randomly finding us on that feed. Please leave that like, leave that comment. It really does help out the algorithm and let us grow, because one of the big things that caught my eye right there was criminally unsubscribed. And tell me, folks, we have been feeling that for a long time. We are the best MMA breakdown, sports analysis, betting analysis, all the jams you want is right here. There's a reason we are your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, 100%. And it's because of the commenters, man, the likes, the shares, all that stuff. It really does help.
That's right. So definitely, help us get a little more love in the algorithm. But I will just say this, man, at the end of the day, one thing separates us from the rest of the pack is we hold ourselves accountable. We don't show you the wins, we show you the losses and everything in between. Lifetime track record. You already know what time it is. But enough of the, housekeeping and all that. Let's talk about these fights, brother. Let's get it.
Have you seen that replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine.
Time for some main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, my man, we said it. End of the Kamaru Usman era. Now, he says he's not going anywhere, but at the end of the day, man, you cannot deny Leon Rocky Edwards any further. 12 wins in a row. Honestly, if you're really thinking about it, controversy aside and all that good stuff, man, Leon Edwards is very, very underrespected. If you really think about it, man, looking at what he just did to Kamaru Usman, nobody does that to Kamaru Usman. Nobody has Usman come in on that many takedown attempts and stuff so many of them. But we do got to take a step back, because Usman did take him down 4 times. The only difference was Edwards was able to pop right back up. Aside from one of them, he was able to pop right back up, get back to the game plan. My question to you here, AJ, is was this phenomenal game plan by Leon Edwards an off night by an aging 35-year-old Kamaru Usman, or something in between? Because we was all over Usman before. There's no excuses now. So I just want your opinion. What do you think it was?
I definitely think it's that C answer, that something in between, man, because technically, or technique-wise, I should say, Rocky Edwards had an impeccable game plan and stuck to it, like you said, Derek, stuck to it perfectly, did not falter, did not alter, did not do any of the things that, could have cost him the match. Well, as the same point, Kamaru felt a little hesitant, if you will, a little slower, worried, and we were talking about it before off camera, where we were saying, man, it's the body kicks, the head kicks. It felt like everybody knew that head kick was coming, and even when it did in the 4th round, it landed and didn't really have the effect the first one did, but still, you could tell it still had an effect. Kamaru got hit with it, and he was like, oh, okay, like that was the one, and you could tell him kind of shake it off, have the moment of the fight, but you could tell it was weighing on him heavily. So I think it's a little bit of both, Derek. Would you agree?
I would agree. I definitely think that our question was answered in terms of mentally, can he bounce back from that KO? And I thought yes. The answer was yes, but we did not get that same Kamaru Usman from the last fight where he was pressing him, reckless abandon, throwing big shots and all that. We didn't get that same Kamaru Usman. And he actually did get caught by that head kick, but he actually ate it. So that was another little factor in there. When Trevor Whitman is constantly telling you, you need to move forward, bro. You're doing a lot of this chasing, but you're not actually getting your hands on him. That was signaling to me. I was like, man, it's already round 4. Whitman keeps telling you it is. You got to do something at this point. And there was a lot of that chasing, but never really hitting the mark. Now, here's my thing, man. We have to address the beginning of the fight. Controversy in terms of the penalties, right? Leon Edwards did get a point taken away. He felt like he shouldn't have. He should have got a warning. Now, this is going to be the golden rule across the board, man. Why not cheat? They're not going to do anything about it until you do it 3-4 times anyways. Fuck it. Grab the cage. You know what I mean? Hook the gloves. What? At this point, legitimately, it seems like you get all of these warnings for these fight-affecting positions, and then it just takes a big one to finally award a point. And that's something new. Before, brother, I don't want to bring this up, man, but Kamaru Usman is kind of notorious for grabbing the cage. The Colby Covington fight, let's talk about it. But starting off your first championship defense, and you have all of these penalties, right? So it was a hooked glove, it was grabbing the cage, and then it was like a nut shot, all in a minute span. Visual wise, is anybody going to look back and remember that and say that was kind of a weird way to kind of do your title defense, or does this not mean anything?
I don't think it means anything, Derek, and it goes kind of more to your point of fuck it, why not cheat? I mean, even if you get a 10-8 round, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because it kind of falls into obscurity. We just know who wins, who gets the double paycheck at the end of the day. I definitely like the idea of taking the points for every single offense. Regardless, maybe not a first nut shot because sometimes the leg can slide up, but something intentional, grabbing the cage, hooking the inside of the gloves, multiple offenses of things. Because I definitely think the referees have been getting better about the intent clause in that rule. Like what was the intent of this action, and then that's when they take the point. I really like that, and I like that that's where they're going, but it still doesn't seem heavy enough. It doesn't weigh heavy enough to prevent fighters from actually doing it. So I don't even know how you improve that besides taking points for every single infraction, barring, nut shots or eye pokes accidentally.
Absolutely. And I do like how they said, all right, well, we'll take a point away from Edwards, right? But we're not going to give Usman, we're not going to give you that position. And I think that's fair. I think it's very fair. They just did that in the Davy Grant fight just like a week ago or something like that. So like, continuity, consistency. That's what it's about. Now, this is my real concern right here, man. Leon Edwards, he was really picking Usman apart, man. Kind of Marvin Vettori style, where he was just on the outside, picking apart that leg, body kick, leg kick, body kick, leg kick. Really didn't do much with the hands. If you look at the numbers, Edwards did outscore Usman 120 to 87, but then, like I said, you got to factor in those 4 takedowns by Usman. Obviously, damage over control, but let's be real. Both of these dudes kind of walked out like they didn't really even get into a fight. So not a lot of damage happened here. Visual-wise, I want your perspective. Isn't it weird to see a champion defend their belt when their back is against the cage 90% of the fight and they're running from the guy who's chasing them down, who's kind of bullying them there? And yeah, you're getting some good, clean counter strikes in there, and you're doing the right technical thing, but visual-wise, that's not a good visual to defend your belt, right?
100%. I should say 99%, Derek, because yes, it's not a thing. But if that's been the style from day one, from jump, where you're walking backwards, people are being the aggressor, and then you're counter sniping and dropping them, okay, that we're expecting that. We're expecting that kind of same thing from, let's say, Stephen Thompson is the champion. We're expecting him to play the game. When you're Leon Edwards and we're used to seeing Rocky come out, use the hands, beat you up, not necessarily be the aggressor, because Kamaru was going to be that guy no matter what in this fight. But it wasn't the most exciting win from a champion of any champion. Let me just piece you up from outside and keep running away, and then I'm going to retain the championship because we're in London and I'm going to get the points. So,
Yeah, it's tough because on one hand, I mean, Israel Adesanya kind of made a whole career off of kind of that style, but he also does go on the offensive and he knocks these dudes out and does all this stuff. I just thought it was a weird way. Majority decision for your first title defense. It's not glamorous. It's not like, ooh, this is this new dominant champion. It really has some questions that are still unanswered right here. Last thing before we move on, man. I actually don't see as much of a problem as I think everybody else does with this, but a lot of people are saying, hey, I thought Kamaru Usman won the fight. Now, just see, the face that you're making right there goes to show the right man won the fight, obviously. Edwards won the fight. But if it's a close fight in the champion's hometown, are you not expecting that they give him the nod? Like, is this new? Is this something that's never happened before? So give me your thoughts on that, because a lot of people are calling biased judging, biased commentary. Everything's biased because it's in London, but it's like, duh, that's the champion's hometown. What do you think?
I think you're just pointing it out now because it's not on our home turf, Derek, and we're not the ones benefiting from it. And it's usually how it goes. People not benefiting are the ones, crying about it and doing all that stuff. And I do think it was a lot closer of a fight. And even when we were at the sports bar watching it, me and my lady, I was like, I don't really know who won this fight. Like, I think Leon won, personally, just me. But I don't know who the judges give it to. And if it's that close, they're definitely giving it to Leon in London. I mean, it's kind of what you expected. Not a big surprise. And I also think just by the body language, too, you could feel Kamaru didn't give his best effort. So it felt like Rocky did enough, but not so much where it was a blowaway,
Yeah, last thing here, because we spent enough time talking about this, man, is that two things, right? One, headshot bang, right? That's the new moniker, right? I do not think that is something that is suitable to use when you win a majority decision when you're on the back foot and did almost zero damage to your opponent. In terms of legitimate headshot anything, there's no headshot bang. What is this? You know what I mean? Yeah, you got it on the last one. Why are you resting on your laurels? You're living off of your past glories. In this fight, you won a close one. Where's this headshot bang? Is that going to continue to live?
I'm so glad you said something, Derek, because it was the most cringy part of the night to hear him jump on the mic and say it again. I get it from a PR standpoint. If your agent's telling you push the one thing that you said last time, so we can sell some shirts, we can get some merch, we're gonna make it a thing. This is gonna be your thing. Headshot bang. I just need more headshots, or else it's gonna be completely pointless and you're gonna look dumb. So I thought, I did not like it. I heard it and I was like, oh, that's a miss.
This fight should have been leg kick pivot. That's it. Not headshot bang, leg kick pivot. Either way, the champion has a name. The welterweight champion has a name. His name is Leon Rocky Edwards. The future is bright here. We got a couple contenders in the mix, man. I don't like that he wants to fight Jorge Masvidal, but that is a narrative, long running. Doesn't deserve it. Colby doesn't really deserve it. Bilal Muhammad, that's the guy, I think, but they won't give it to him. Either way, let's move on to the next one, brother. Hey, listen, first team all violence. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. And we talked about this, man. I said, Justin Gaethje, is he ever truly an underdog, right? Even though, I think on the line, he technically was an underdog in this one. Rafael Fiziev, more technical striker, I still believe that. But when it comes down to 3-round experience, violence, damage, which is the scoring criteria, Justin Gaethje prevailed, especially when he started finding his jab in round number 3. It was almost like he turned into a different fighter, and he just started putting it on Rafael Fiziev. So respect to both fighters because they put on a phenomenal performance. Another Fight of the Year candidate over here by Justin Gaethje. But my question is, is this one of those rare times where you actually do believe Justin Gaethje when he says, when I fought Charles Oliveira, I was off. That was not me. I was not fighting to my best capacities, versus this performance where he's like, yeah, how I fight here, this is how I'm normally supposed to fight. When I fight like this, I'm the best. You can't beat me. What do you think?
I like it and I agree with it. I definitely think it, that is, there's some truth to that statement. My big question is to why was that the case of the night? Was it a 3-round thing? Was it a 5-round thing? Was it fighting a little earlier than in the night where you still have some people are going to walk out after you so you don't have all the pressure? Because I agree, I thought it was the 3-round, 3 rounds. I thought it was it being a 3-round fight. That way he knew he had enough gas to keep the foot on the pedal the entire time and not have to worry about it. And that's where that jab in that 3rd round came in, man. He really started to pick up the pace and put it on him because he knew this was the end of the fight. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I do think this was a different or a breed of Justin Gaethje we saw in the past that still had a little bit of growth to him. And what made me happy, Derek, at the end of it was the cheesy little takedown. He had to show at least one little bit of his D1 wrestling. I'm happy because that's what I was going for. He didn't need it. Turns out he's better at his hands than we thought. But it was still nice to see, man. What do you think?
Well, I think that takedown actually did solidify it in the 3rd round. It helped, right? It definitely put the nail in the coffin right there. I was like, oh, and he got the takedown? No, that's it. And it's funny. It was like, yeah, all right, I got my takedown. Y'all can all shut the fuck up now. You know what I mean? I got it, bro. So, listen, he appeased the fans. He appeased the people who wanted it. I will say this. Justin Gaethje's own words are more or less, in the last one against Charles Oliveira, he wasn't himself because, the Rose Namajunas, that kind of played into everything. She was sharing the same card, the emotions that go into it. And also, he said he was just fought way too emotionally. And we know, right? That's cardinal rule number 1. You cannot be emotional in there. And he says, when I fought Fiziev, I felt nothing. I controlled his feet. If you control their feet, you control where they go and you control the fight. So I think this is a monster learning lesson for Rafael Fiziev right here. And I think that anybody who is fighting Fiziev here in the future needs to be very, very worried. Because this is one of those fights that catapults you to the next level. Fighting a guy like Justin Gaethje, who you've earned his respect. He's like, I'm a fan of you, and you are a legitimate warrior. You are the 2nd fastest person I've ever fought next to Michael Johnson, who is criminally underrated, legitimately, right? Yeah, might not have the most success, but we know this dude is this close to beating all the best guys. I think that Rafael Fiziev is going to take a lot from this moving forward, but this does set Justin Gaethje up for a phenomenal, phenomenal opportunity of either Poirier rematch or a title shot. And then now you fought Khabib, you lost. Now you got Khabib Jr. and Islam Makhachev. It's going to be interesting to see if this is indeed Justin Gaethje's last run at a title. What do you think of the odds that he leaves this game victorious and accomplishing that goal?
Pretty good, Derek. Pretty good. Because I agree, this set of both fighters for more so Justin Gaethje in the immediate future. But Rafael Fiziev, give him 2-3 years, and I think this is going to be a champion as well. But as far as Justin Gaethje goes, man, having to go up and fight Islam, That's a very intriguing thing. Let's say he gets the dub on Islam. Does Khabib come back? There's a whole lot of storyline. Obviously, I personally don't think it's going to, but I know that's going to be the narrative of what's being said. So I like that this is the opportunity Justin Gaethje has. And what's nice about him having to fight Islam is we're really going to have to see that D1 wrestling come out. So it's going to be put to the test. I like that fight a lot.
That's right. That's right, man. Let's not forget 11 performance bonuses in 11 fights for Justin Gaethje. Honestly, the most exciting dude in the UFC, legitimately. Like, you can't argue with it really at this point. And I will say, man, the same thing that I said before. Is Justin Gaethje ever truly an underdog? And I would say the answer is absolutely not. I will say, though, in the beginning of the fight, man, it was looking good for Fiziev, man. Justin Gaethje had a slow start, but that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't matter round 1, round 2. You have to go all 15 minutes with this man, Gaethje. And when he hits, there's something about him that is like, he hits like a Mack truck, and he looked like he didn't even get into a fight after the fact, man. This dude is almost inhuman, you know what I'm saying, at that level. So truly a killer be killed fighter. You got anything else on this one, or are you ready to move on?
Man, no, I'm just happy anytime like Justin Gaethje's on the card, and now I think we have another contender in that category of somebody you're just excited to see when they fight in Rafael Fiziev.
That's right. All right. Well, shout out. Fantastic co-main event. Honestly, bro, like fight of the year candidate. Now, you had said it yourself here, AJ, man. If there's a mulligan to be had for you, it is picking Bryan Barberena over Gunnar Nelson. And my whole thing this entire time was commentary team. Oh, I'm concerned about Gunnar Nelson because he's more focused on coaching and doesn't really want to fight like that. Does he have that same hunger? And I'm just like, okay, well, Bryan Barberena, his loss to RDA last was bread and butter, takedown, start grappling, choke him out, finished, right? Gunnar Nelson, that is literally his specialty, and how does 3 months change your ability to stop that from happening? The answer is, it doesn't. Gunnar Nelson, first takedown, secured, got to mount. Bro, textbook jiu-jitsu. Textbook from mount, switch to the arm bar. Drop elbow down, secure the arm, switch on over, boom, your arm is done. Bryan Barberena, farmer, family man, you're not going to let your arm snap for, you know what I mean, a situation like this. This is not worth it in that case. Gunnar Nelson said it himself. He was like, I'm a little surprised he didn't hold out a little bit longer. You know, we could talk about the Muhammad Mokaev a little bit later, where this dude almost let his knee just get destroyed. And this dude's like 22 years old. So point is, Gunnar Nelson, he does it again, man. Dude landed all of 10 strikes, 1 takedown, 1 submission, 1 finish. Money, minus 130 for the sub, which is chalky all day, man. I really did give respect to Barberena, thinking he'd be able to hold out a little bit longer. But, I mean, pure dominance, man. What do you have on this?
I had a lot of faith for Bam Bam going into this fight, man. And you just saw even the speed that Gunnar Nelson had me worried in the beginning of the fight. He was looking good. He was looking crisp. His whole stance, that wide power stance he has. And if is one powerful, strong, it's a statement, like with your hands down. And if the fighter against you doesn't know how to combat that and actually get in and hurt you and make you go into something else, another stance, keep your hands up, something, and get control of the fight, it's basically over, man. Gunny looked good from the jump. Like you said, Derek, this was a mulligan if I could ever take one. But, you know, learning lesson going forward. Gunnar Nelson, submission, almost like death and taxes. It's another solid.
Yeah, bro, you add to the list of first-round finishes for Gunnar Nelson. This is like 11 or 12 at this point now, man. So this is what he does, man. And this is why I will continue to say you cannot disrespect a fighter just because they've been out of the mix for a little bit, man. First finish since his return back to the UFC, which is phenomenal. And the last thing that I will say on this is that karate-style stance that you were talking about right there, same thing for Stephen Thompson, right? How people are like, he is deceptively quick. And it's not just the quickness, it's also the karate stance allows straight line blitzes. What's the fastest point to point A to point B? It's a straight line. A lot of people, for whatever reason, they're just not ready for it, man. You got to train against, in your sparring against these karate guys. But big win by Gunnar Nelson. Now, AJ, I didn't want to have to do this, man. But when I bring this one up right here, I think I'm going to have to... Breaking news, slight controversy in the post-fight presser. So Jennifer Maia, she does kind of what I was saying along the lines that she had a high probability of doing, man. She outboxed Casey O'Neill. She proved to be that gatekeeper that said, you're not quite ready for us fighters here at this level of the division. Then again, Casey O'Neill, long time, 9 months ago, she couldn't even walk, right? Knees, still getting it together. no longer undefeated. But this is the controversy right here. Jennifer Maia alluded to post-fight saying, Casey O'Neill, the reason why I didn't grapple as much is because she was real slippery, man. And I'm gonna say it wasn't just sweat. I think that she used a little skin moisturizer or something, aka, long story short, alluded to she potentially greased for this fight. And folks in the jiu-jitsu world know greasing has been a big scandal recently with the Gordon Ryans and the Nicky Rods and stuff like that. But my question to you is, man, how come we haven't heard more about stuff like this in the UFC? You would imagine all you have to do, if you soak in that lotion, you soak it in pre-fight, all that good stuff, right? So when they're trying to grab onto you, slippery, they can't. And now you're forced to have a stand-up fight. How much credit are you putting into this? How much are you putting into this at all? Because at the end of the day, Jennifer Maia handily won without you having to grapple. So what do you think?
I mean, do I put a lot of credit into that being the winning factor or the losing factor or being a factor at all into the fight? Not really. Also, it's kind of hard to determine because you could easily say, no, this is just my skincare routine. I'm just oiling up. You know, I'm taking care of myself. Do you not do this too? Well, you probably should. Yeah. So it's a hard one to battle. And I wonder if that's why there's not more concern or talk about stuff like that. Because we've seen in certain fights, and I don't have the exact reference to them, but where the referee will come in and be like, no, wipe him down. Like, why, like take some of that stuff off or wipe this off his face. But it's hard to go in there when they just come in like that from the jump. So I definitely think it could have happened. Probably did happen. Who knows? I don't know. But it definitely seems like it's a thing that can go unnoticed, which is kind of a bigger issue in the UFC. But how do you stop something like that? I don't really know, Derek. Do you have an answer?
The thing is, for me, is that, like, I just think, well, how do you stop it? I don't know. I'm not sure how you can stop it, right? Because the thing we normally see is the Vaseline, right? They're like, you got too much Vaseline. Wipe that shit off, man. You know what I mean? People put it all over, right? They'll even take some Vaseline and they'll start, rubbing it so you can be a little slippery. But I think that the interesting development here is that you don't often hear a winning fighter bring this up. Like, there's no real point of bringing this up. You won the fight, you won handedly. It's not like it was super close. Like, you pretty much picked her apart for 3 rounds. The third round got close where Casey O'Neill started to find her rhythm a little bit. But why bring it up? That's my whole question. That's the whole reason why I bring this up, is because, like, are you just saying, like, hey, dishonor, I'm, Bushido, you shouldn't have done that, so now I'm going to call you out on it. Formerly undefeated, a lot of hype, Casey O'Neill, and now you're accused of greasing and this and that, and they're going to check her. I mean, do you have anything, or is it just an interesting,
It's an interesting one because you're right, Derek. What benefit does this have to Jennifer Maia? Not really any. I mean, I don't know, like, besides getting it out there that this is an issue, but that really doesn't help you much. And like you said, you won the fight, you got double paycheck. You're not going to get any more money from it. You're just kind of shitting on another fighter. Yeah. Not the coolest look, but it's honorable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, man, let's talk about the actual fight. Jennifer Maia, fantastic game plan. I think kind of a little bit of a lack of a game plan by Casey O'Neill, because she said, I'm going to try one thing and I'm not going to pivot to anything else. Even though it's not really working, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to get countered up all day long, and I'm not going to step back and make Jennifer Maia come forward. I'm not going to try to grapple. That was my whole thing. Remember, I said this fight hinges on, can Casey O'Neill get a takedown? Can she actually work that in her game? And if she can, I think that she wins the fight. But in a pure boxing match, Jennifer Maia boxed her head off. Now, realistically, you look at the numbers, 145 to 137 for Casey O'Neill. So if you didn't watch the fight and you just looked at numbers, you'd be like, wow, this was such a super close fight. But AJ, was it?
No, man. This was a classic. Jennifer Maia showing the young gun what's up and just going basically varsity mode. This is a new level. You're, like you said in the intro, not really ready for exactly this. And I do think a little bit of the knee came into play. We didn't see the wrestling. We didn't see the explosion that Casey O'Neill had. We didn't see the same fighter we saw in the past pre-injury. And this was a great reminder to the fans that just because Jennifer Maia, is dated or kind of fallen out of the loop as far as the competition or championship contender series, she is still, and there are still a lot of very dangerous fighters in the mix that people forget. They sleep on. They forget about them entirely just because the new shiny toy is in the mix. Turns out the new shiny toy got put up by the rusty one, and it's how it goes, man. This still is still a game. It still is a battle, no matter what, of a mano in the cage, and anything can happen.
And it's also a reminder, too, that, Casey O'Neill, her biggest win came to Roxanne Modafferi in her farewell fight, right? So Roxanne Modafferi, skillful fighter, was never the best striker in the world, was never the most athletic fighter in the world. So now you get a Jennifer Maia who's very experienced and also, bro, looked sharp as a nail, man, sharp as a tack. Like, she was on point. So you got an explosive, athletic, experienced fighter, and it proved to be a little bit of a difference. Now, a fully healthy Casey O'Neill, completely rehabbed knee, where she got a couple more fights under her belt, maybe it would have played out differently. I think if this fight would have went to the death, Casey O'Neill was just ramping up and getting better and better and better. But it was a 3-round fight, and he lost. So shout out to Jennifer Maia. I do think Casey O'Neill will be back. I think undefeated streaks are overrated in this sport. You have to lose if you really want to take that next level, that jump, that resurgence. But at the end of the day, man, another veteran gatekeeps their way to earn the title of gatekeeper. Shout out Jennifer Maia. All right, bro. Back to some more controversy. The one opening up the fight, bro. Marvin Vettori, right, fights Roman Dolidze, and I had said this is one of those where Dolidze could absolutely win this fight, but I did not at all expect just a pure striking bout between these two fighters, right? 106 total strikes for Marvin Vettori, who clearly learned how to start throwing some leg kicks after getting pieced up by Robert Whitaker in their last one. And then for Roman Dolidze, overhands, 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 overhands. 71 strikes for Dolidze. Now, I was on Twitter when this fight was taking place, and it seems like the masses were saying Roman Dolidze clearly won this fight. Marvin Vettori should not have won. Dolidze was robbed. If you look at the numbers, it doesn't really prove that. I think it's more of a damage versus volume type situation because Marvin Vettori pointed his way to that victory skillfully. But what do you think, man? When you were watching it, eye test, did Dolidze win in your eyes? Did Vettori clearly win? Was it clear or was it super close?
It was super close, Derek. In fact, this was another one where I was saying, I don't know who won this fight. I kind of think Dolidze might have done it just because I was expecting Vettori to wrestle a lot more, and it was out of a character I was out of Marvin Vettori's character to fight that kind of a way. But he looked sharp. He was pointing things out, man. He was on the front foot the majority of the time, so I can see why he won. And in fact, I thought, like, at the same point, I was like, man, like, if Vettori does win this fight, makes sense. Like, he did a lot more of the leading of the dance than Dolidze did. Now, Dolidze did have his moments where he was going, back and forth. This was a very, very close fight. So I wasn't upset with one way or the other. This wasn't the 30-27. There was a controversial decision on a previous fight, but this one was very, very close, man. What do you think?
I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, honestly. And when you look at MMA decisions right here, this is kind of 50-50 right here for Vettori and for Dolidze. So it goes to show it was a very close fight, and I think it's what are you looking for? We need a little more of an understanding of the true scoring criteria. Because if you look at the rounds, so it's basically so on one hand, 30-27, Paul Sutherland, and this dude was throwing out wacky-ass scores all night long, right? But 30-27 for Vettori, I don't think that's true. I think that Vettori clearly lost the first round and then came back round 2, round 3 to win the fight. So, I mean, to be completely honest with you, man, I think Dolidze, eye test-wise, made it look like he was doing more damage than he was because Vettori was blocking a lot of the shots that he was throwing, right? He was throwing everything with bad intentions, and he slowed down towards the end of the fight. Vettori, on the other hand, smacking his leg back and forth all night long, right? Landed a couple of good shots, but Vettori normally isn't on his back foot the entire time. And Vettori, this is another one of those where it's like you win, but you're getting pushed up against the cage the whole fight. Does it look good? It doesn't look good. But you did what you needed to do to kind of squeak out the victory right here. At the end of the day, man, Roman Dolidze did prove to us that he is ready for these top guys. I just think he has to mix up the approach, man, because the one thing missing from Dolidze was it was all boxing. There was like not one kick thrown by Dolidze. I was like, bro, throw a couple kicks, start setting some things up, maybe a shot, you know what I mean? Like, let's see what we got. But there was none of that, man. So, I mean, were you super impressed by Vettori, or were you more impressed by Dolidze in this affair?
I was, I don't know if impressed is the right word. I was kind of flabbergasted at the approach of Vettori's only stand-up approach, like he was just there for the hands and the feet, which was good. And then also is interested in why, like you said, you wouldn't mix up the art of mixed martial arts in that kind of fight, and you're just sticking to boxing because you're playing chess or you're playing checkers. Well, Vettori's out here, he's at least playing two-dimensional checkers with just the hands and the feet.
Yeah.
We're not really out there playing chess. We're not mixing it up entirely. We're not in a washing machine out here, which is still, don't get me wrong, it's still an entertaining fight. I enjoy the fight. But it was questionable why they didn't do this, because I thought for sure it was people were they were both gonna stick to their game plans. I guess the game plans were different than what we've previously seen, so they did.
I will say this, man. This is very indicative of kind of what they're talking about for Rafael Fiziev. But these guys who are just running through the division, right, and they finally get to these top guys, right? Marvin Vettori is a perennial top 5 fighter in his division. You start hitting them with these shots that take out everybody else, but they don't take out the top guys, right? Rafael Fiziev said it himself. He was all like, against RDA, I was hitting him with some shit, man, and he just would not go down until he finally did, right? Justin Gaethje. Look at Justin Gaethje, man. He could not get Rafael Fiziev out of there, which proves Fiziev is the top guy, right? But vice versa. Fiziev was hitting him with some good stuff, and like I said, Gaethje looked like he didn't even get in a fight. So right here, I think Roman Dolidze, go back to the drawing board, but continue to keep that same belief that he had of, if I land clean on you, you're done. As long as he keeps that there, man, this dude is, like I said, problems for this division, man. So let's revisit the conversation we had really quickly in the pre-show. After seeing this fight, I know you said top 5 for sure. Dolidze could be top 3, maybe. Do you think he can be a champion in this division?
Ooh. At the moment, not really, Derek. At the moment, because one set, or no, what is it, 185?
This is 185.
At 185. No, man, not at the moment. You're going to need to do a lot more than just pressure and try to land the big shots. You're going to have to set things up. You're going to have to set traps. You're going to have to play the game. You're going to have to confuse people in order to have them not see that big punch coming, and then that's when you get the lights out. I don't know at the moment if Dolidze has that, but I do think a couple more fights like this, a couple more fights against these top 5, top 3 opponents, he's going to find it, and he's going to find his way to there. And then, 2-3 years maybe, then we're talking championship with Dolidze. But I don't know about right now. Do you feel me, or are you thinking something different?
I think that if it does happen, it needs to happen in the next 2 years or so. He got a late start to MMA, man. He's not the youngest guy in the world. So, he needs to get back on the horse, take maybe another fight or 2 this year if possible. I mean, it's already March, so you could get 2 more in depending on how the fight, ends. But either way, when we're bringing it up, man, Marvin Vettori, minus 135 decision victory right there. Chalk all day long. With that being said, that was your UFC 286 main card recap right there, man. Very decision-heavy card right here. I think you did the wise move. Go to the sports bar and go check it out right there. I would have been a little upset if I paid $80. And believe it or not, this is the second $80 card they wanted you to pay for in the span of like 3 weeks. And let's not forget, we're going to have the Corey Sandhagen versus Vera next week. And then in 2 weeks, another pay-per-view, Adesanya Pereira. So another $80 right there, man. So, folks, with that being said, if you have not subscribed yet, absolutely take a moment to subscribe. If you have not ventured on over to Twitch, you need to go shout out and hit up my man AJ on Twitch. AJ, let him know where you at.
And twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. In fact, Santa Fe Bomber across all platforms. But if you're going over there to Twitch, it's the same thing as those comments, man. Jump in that chat. Let me know. We're doing some gaming. We're doing some art. But most importantly, we're breaking down fights whenever y'all are in there, and we're chopping it up towards each other. It's a moment where we're able to actually interact with each other, get a little inside knowledge, get a little fun, joke around, man. Enjoy the life that we have, and that way we can actually share it together, man. So we're out there every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. Just hit the link. You'll see when it is. Hit the little button notification. Lets you know when we're going live, so that way you can jump in and follow along. Join the Bomb Squad. It's a lot of fun out there, man. So please come in, join. And that way you can see a little bit of the intro into my life outside of this fight thing, because a lot of the fight thing is there. So, that's not getting away. But you get to see some art. You get to see some other interactions, man. It's a lot of fun. You get to see Bearser. She's in the back. But, man, come join us. Twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber.
That's right. All right. With that being said, AJ, we still got a couple of fights that I want to talk about. So let's jump into these prelims, man. Prelim Pourover. All right. Real quickly, man, because honestly, there's not a lot that I want to talk about here, but there's like 2-3 storylines that I thought were interesting. And I want to start with the first one, which was the first fight of the night. Now, we had both spoken and we had said, let's be real, man. We watch these fights, Cinderella story aside, narrative aside, UFC knows how to sell a good story. I did not think that Juliana Miller, even though she won tough, was quite ready for UFC competition, especially when she fought a more experienced fighter in Veronica Hardy. Now, a lot of people, who is this Veronica Hardy? It's Veronica Macedo, right? But, she's married to Dan Hardy. So when we saw the wins, the losses, it makes sense. She'd been out of competition for 3 years, man. But this is an experienced fighter. Juliana Miller, man, her jiu-jitsu, her instinctual ability to, grab onto you and put you in real danger when she's in her guard is legit. And I think it's UFC worthy. The striking, though. AJ, talk to me. You're our striking guy right here. I mean, brother, what were we seeing here? Because that was rough to watch.
Like a baby giraffe, Derek. It was rough to watch the lankiness, because her lanky could work, but just the way she's throwing punches and the way her body moves mechanically, very interesting things, man. I'm curious to see where she goes for a better camp that's going to kind of tighten down those fundamentals, because you're right, that jiu-jitsu is amazing. But even with the length she has, she's not able to get some pop on her shots. Really rough to watch, and definitely the fundamentals of how to throw up a combo and set up punches and kicks needs a little bit of polishing for sure. And I think that's why Veronica Hardy was able to exploit a lot of that too, man. A lot of just the movement, the fundamental movement, foot movement, turning angles, it wasn't there, and that's where we got exposed.
Well, I will say Juliana Miller has one thing going for her for sure, and she has a chin, bro. She was able to take a lot of those shots. Her lankiness will work once she develops a little more technical prowess, man, because she was able to close distance. She was able to get her hands on Hardy kind of whenever she wanted to. This is the problem. Jiu-jitsu, the ability to be really good at jiu-jitsu and the ability to incorporate wrestling, that's two different things. And on pretty much every takedown attempt, she was trying these kind of lat drops, and just Hardy was falling straight on top of her every single time. And I was like, your takedown, you need to work on your trips, you need to work on your throws, you need to work on just the ability to get the fight to the ground and not jump guard, not go straight to your back, because that works in jiu-jitsu. But in MMA, unless you get the submission, you're losing. You're in the bottom position, you're losing. So long story short, man, I think Juliana Miller is getting a lot of undeserved hate right now, because at the end of the day, man, I feel like we should have expected this. My question to you is, she's young, right? So, yeah, you get some good camps, man. You get some good work in. Give it a couple more fights, man. She's not very experienced. I think she has a very bright future. What do you think?
Very bright future, Derek. And we're being harsh on the striking a little bit because she's so young. But if she does get that going, man, she has the perfect frame, character, and already the experience in the jiu-jitsu to be a multiple level threat. So with you take her down, she's going to sub you out, right? Then if you don't take her down and you're able to have to stand on the feet with her and she's piecing you up from distance where you can't even touch her, Juliana Killer Miller is going to be a serious problem to hand. So I do think this is a good and a bad thing for her to have. A lot of room to grow. Very bright future ahead of her. She just got to put the work in to get it done.
Absolutely. And for those who saw Veronica Hardy as a plus 300 dog, that was you throw money on that all day long. When I saw that, I was just like, for y'all who are really backing this, thinking that she's going to lose, unless she just immediately gets submitted, and she was in danger a lot of the times, man, but experience triumph right there. All right, man. Next one, this is a quick one. Joanne Wood, she gets back in the win column against Luana Carolina. It was close. It was a split decision, but she did outstrike her by 30 strikes or so. The thing is, this is what we're talking about. You get a split decision over Luana Carolina. I'm not saying it's undeserved, but it just goes to show Joanne Wood is kind of... You've gone from that, I have an opportunity to fight Valentina Shevchenko, a long-reigning champion, to now we kind of understand where we should be matching up now. Is she going to just be getting people just outside of that top 15? Is she going to be getting people all outside of that top 15? Where would you start matchmaking for her?
Gatekeeper, Derek. Yeah. I think you're relegated to the gatekeeper right now. That top 10, top 15, just outside of there, you're going to be getting fed a lot of newcomers until you start getting a lot more KOs, a lot more finishes, a lot more exciting fights. Because even though this was an exciting fight, I like this. So this is technical. I thought both fighters looked really good. Carolina actually looked really, really good too, man. So credit to both ladies right here. But I do think you're kind of stuck now out of that title contention talk, out of the glitz, the glamour. The UFC's a little bit moved on to the rest of what's out there, and now you're kind of having to force yourself back into that situation.
Absolutely. No, I agree, man. So we'll see what happens next. All right, next one that I think is kind of interesting. We need to talk about it. Muhammad Mokaev, man. This dude's going to be a star. He is a star in the making if he's not a star already. The problem is, dude's 22 years old or whatnot, man, and he just suffered one of the nastiest knee bar submission attempts that I've seen that he didn't tap to, where he said, I felt my knee cracking, and I was waiting for him to rip my knee apart. And I know I could see you wincing over there, just being like, why would you even want that, right? But his ability to endure the pain and then turn around, get on top, and then it wasn't really a choke. It was really a crank, but it doesn't matter. When you're getting your fucking mandible smashed, just kind of like how Alexa Grasso wasn't choking Shevchenko per se, but that is like when you feel like your jaw's going to break, dude tapped. And Mokaev doesn't have that tap in him, clearly, right? So, but this is the question. Thanos style, right? You got what you wanted, but at what cost? You know what I mean? Like, does this jeopardize the future of his career?
I think so, Derek. You saw that knee past 90 degrees or past whatever degree it is, because that hurt a lot, man. You posted a picture on Instagram about it, and it was cringe worthy because this thing, man, he was cranking on that knee, and all credit to Mokaev, because if you hear your knee popping, as someone who has heard his knee pop, you stop. You stop playing. You're good. I'm done. That shit hurt. I'm good. I don't want to hurt anything else, except unless you're an absolute savage like Muhammad Mokaev, where this dude just kept going, man. And that blew my mind when he said that in the post-fight press conference. That shit was absolutely crazy. There you go, man. Look at that. That you can see the back of his knee. So where the opponent's gray underwear starts, you can see the indentation of the back of his knee. That is ridiculously flexed, man. And you can even see in the bottom picture below it is just cranked one, like, oh man, that is one of the worst we could ever see. All credit for not tapping, man. You're a savage.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%, man. So with that being said, I can't even look at it for too long. It was fucking gross, man. But yeah, man, I just think that sometimes, like, yeah, you still got your O. You still got your O. And now you're moving on to the upper echelons. You keep moving up and, you know, but fuck, man. I just hope that there's nothing long-term about that. That's it, man. With that being said, those are kind of the predominant storylines. Let's head over to a quick rankings review, and then we can bounce up out of here, man. So let's get it, brother. Today, you know, we have to talk about the primary division right here, man. The welterweight division, 170 pounds. And when we talk about 170 pounds, man, the reason why we have to talk about it is because with the Kamaru Usman era ending, we now have to put ourselves into consideration. Is this going to be a long-reigning Leon Rocky Edwards era, or is this another division in the UFC that's just open, bro? So let's talk about it, man. So when I'm pulling up the rankings, these are the current UFC rankings right now. Edwards champion. Obviously, they're going to get updated on Tuesday. We'll see what happens to Usman. You lose twice to the champion, or to the champion, Leon Edwards. Does Usman remain number one? Do we start pushing him down a little bit? Colby Covington hasn't fought in forever, and he still has that number 2 spot. This is the real question. And I'm going to scream it till my lungs can't say nothing no more. Belal Muhammad, man, why is this dude on an 8-fight win streak, just the same one that Leon Edwards has, right? And now Dana White's saying, yeah, you're going to have to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov because he already said it. Colby Covington is next for Leon Edwards. No storyline, no real merit. If you look at who Colby Covington has fought in the last couple of fights right here, who he's actually got wins over, it's nothing that really says you should be next for Leon Edwards. So then you have Chimaev, who they said they want to get him back at middleweight, and if he would have actually fought Diaz and not missed weight by like fucking 10 pounds, he probably would be getting the title shot. And then you got this guy, Shavkat Rakhmonov, who arguably is 1 fight away. Yeah, you beat Belal Muhammad, you're definitely getting a title shot. So my question to you is, realistically, man, if Leon Edwards isn't the champion, who is the next guy, right, that you personally believe can be champion in this division? Aside from Kamaru Usman, take him out of the picture, right? Of these guys, who's the next guy that could be champion and defeat Leon Edwards?
I think a lot of those guys, a lot of that top 5 right there have a genuine good chance at getting one over on Rocky Edwards. Now, who do I think that's going to be the one that gets it done the easiest, or like that has the biggest chance? I'll say it's Khamzat, man. I think the speed, the wrestling, the kind of just savagery that Khamzat presents is going to be a very, very interesting challenge for Leon to kind of falter against. Like he's going to have to actually hurt Khamzat and get his respect, kind of like the Gilbert Burns fight did. But I don't know if we can see that happening from Leon. That's where my mind goes right away, is Khamzat. But I also think the one that deserves it most, Derek, you've been saying it forever, and I think you're right on, man. Belal Bully B. Muhammad. If there's somebody that can go in there on the hands and feet and bully up Leon Edwards, walk him down and beat him up for 5 rounds, I think it's Bully B, man. Bilal Muhammad can also get it done. My money's on Khamzat. I think he just has a little bit more hype to him, a little bit more. I don't know, man. If for some reason, I don't know why, but Dana White hates on Bully B, and the whole rest of the brass does too. And he's talking. He's an elegant talker, man. He can get things going. So I don't know why they're hating on him so much. He's undeserved, or he feels very deserved, but isn't getting what he does deserve. So it's an interesting one. What do you think?
I think, man, if I had to give my legitimate pick on who can legit be the next champion, like without a shadow of a doubt, I have to say Shavkat Rakhmonov. Obviously, I'm calling for Bully B, but who's to know? Who knows if he can get past Rakhmonov, man? I know Bilal Muhammad, man. People keep counting him out. I've counted him out multiple times, man, and this dude just keeps winning. But Shavkat, man, there's something different about this guy. There's something completely different where, like, in that fight, man, in his last one against Jeff Neal, where he was just eating bombs that Jeff Neal puts everybody else away with, and then he just made that decision of, all right, let me finish this. Boom, done. I was like, oh, God damn, man. Like, you know, if he can get some real shots going against Leon Edwards, get in, start working that wrestling. Here's the thing. When you have a champion who's not a wrestler, right, and who's not an Israel Adesanya who could just snipe you and just, you know, put you away in all these fantastic, different ways, all these wrestlers in this division right here, man, they all got a shot. Sean Brady, Khamzat Chimaev, Bilal Muhammad, even a Gilbert Burns, man, Shavkat. I mean, it's going to be interesting. So it's pretty cut and dry in terms of, like, what's going to be next here. This is my big question, man. Is it going to be a long reigning era, or is Leon Edwards going to have done all this work, finally got past Kamaru Usman, and then these new hungry dudes are like, nah, it's our time now. You feel me? So prediction, man. Next. Okay. Leon Edwards, does he get past Colby Covington?
Yes.
If he gets past Colby Covington and he's matched up with either a Bilal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, or Khamzat Chimaev, does he get past him?
No.
All right. I feel the same way, bro. I feel the same way. And it's terrible because I just started the show off by saying we need to respect Leon Edwards, man. You know what I mean? But it's just tough because in a division of wrestlers, man, your wrestling better be on point. We saw he could do takedown defense against Usman, but Usman, you have to admit, same shot every single time. Single. No trip, no crazy Uchimatas, no, you know, where a lot of these other guys, they have those capacities. And then for Chimaev, he'll literally just body lock you, walk you across the cage, and slam you on your head. So there's that. All right, brother. With that being said, fantastic show, man. UFC 286 was something. I'm ready to get on to this next one right here, man, because Corey Sandhagen versus Marlon Vera is just violence written all over it, man. I'm very excited. But aside from that, man, I think we can round this one out accordingly. You got anything for the people before we get up out of here?
Man, nothing but appreciation for the folks that are out there sharing it, liking it, subscribing. You already know. Hit us in the comments. Let us know. And always, man, let us know. You can see Derek's Twitter down there, Instagram. Hit us up on any social media platforms. Let us know when you're winning money. I know my homie Emma really started to get into this, and she was hitting me up personally for own picks. So rest of you folks out there, go do it. Go watch the show. Get your money in. Hit the subscribe button. Share with your friends. You already know.
I couldn't say it any better myself. That's it for us, folks. Catch us on Friday for the UFC San Antonio preview show. And you know where we'll be. Cashing in bets, getting your money right. It's your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, folks. That's it for us. And until next time, peace.